At the beginning of the season, most of us were just thinking about maybe one trophy or maybe two if things went really well. But here we are, deep into the campaign, and Arsenal is seeing every major competition. Are we getting the beginning of a historic season? Are we getting carried away? Let's talk about it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Henry, but
Super.
I'm looking at an empty chair.
I'm there. I am there.
Welcome, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Look, good to have you on the channel tonight.
Thank
We're going to
you.
take some time out to talk about our club, what we love the most, and of course, asking ourselves whether this dream of this quadruple is going to happen. You
Woo,
know,
that's a
the
big.
big picture just makes us see something like right now, when we started this campaign, you know, we were competing for the Premier League, right? With with Man City for the last three campaigns.
Yes.
Well, last season was kind of different in the sense that we kind of fell off when Man City also fell off,
Yes.
but we allowed Liverpool to come around and just steal it from us. Well, obviously, but in the new campaign now, in this new campaign, we are kind of going on all fronts. The Premier League title, which is still alive, Arsenal is 7 points clear of Man City with the game against Everton tomorrow.
Yes.
Thankfully, we play before Man City, and if we win the game, of course, we'll be 10 points clear prior to what West Ham does against them. We will talk about the Champions League, where we managed to get a draw against Bayer Leverkusen. We expected more from that game. Obviously, I'll get your thoughts around it, me and my fellow panelists. We'll talk about our FA Cup journey, which is in the quarter-final stage right now. And of course, we know that we have the Carabao final to look forward to next week. So before we go into the slides, what's your honest take on where we are right now, Henry?
Yes, I think we're in a very, very good position right now, competing on all fronts, barring, a couple of injuries that we have at the moment. I feel a little bit pretty confident that, we will see out the season, but, you never know with these injuries. And, but yeah, I'm a bit, positive, with the outlook of things. And I think at least for the Premier League, maybe 70-80% sure that we're going to see that out.
Mhm.
The rest of the three cups, is still a bit dicey. The final against Man City, it can go anyway. And the Champions League is still a long way to go. The FA Cup, obviously we're in a great position with the draws. We go away to Southampton, which don't underestimate Southampton, for any reason, especially as they're going to be playing at home. And
Yeah.
if we look at the history of Arsenal and Southampton, especially away, it's not been a really good ground for us. So that's something to be really wary about. That tie, that's quarterfinal away game. I'm a little bit tensed about it, but if we're able to see that game out, we get to the semi-final and at Wembley against I think probably it's going to be West Ham. So I mean, it's looking rosy for us, but we need to still ride through a couple of challenges, and hopefully we get to the final of the FA Cup, and also maybe at least the semi-final of the Champions League, and then we can really realistically talk about the quadruple.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So we also have Rory in the channel. Welcome, brother. How you doing, bro? Always good to have you here, man. Rory, seems you're frozen. Oh, it's having internet issues. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I think
guess
so.
we'll just start with the Premier League, which is the biggest prize, obviously. So far, Arsenal has played 30 games. We have eight more games to go. Rory, are you back? You were frozen for a bit there. Okay, I think he's still having internet issues. Okay, so we played 30 games so far, 20 wins, 7 draws, 3 losses. So I guess Henry, let's start with the 3 losses. The first one came as far back as September or late August when we played against Liverpool, a worldie of a free kick from Dominic Soboslai. What was your take on that? What is your honest take on that game? Because I remember that Liverpool had played Bournemouth first, scored 2 goals, Bournemouth equalized, and of course, obviously, they had the late rally. You also played Newcastle after that, and it was clear that they had a soft underbelly that we could have tried to exploit. But for some reason, when we got to Anfield, we didn't play in a certain way that was enough to get a victory. So, what's your take on the first loss to Liverpool at Anfield?
Yeah, I think, Anfield has never, in the last couple of 10, 15 years, hasn't really been a good ground for us, So I think that mental fragility, in that Arteta has, he, himself as a player, he lost 5-1 at that pitch. So I think he's really, really, petrified and terrified of going to Anfield always, which kind of, made us, we're not really negative in that game, but we really didn't push for it. And Liverpool were also not really great on the day. I think a draw would have been a fair result, but, Soboslai came up with that worthy of a free kick. And basically, there was nothing we could have done about it, it's just what it is. We just had to chin it up, and after that loss, we went on a 17 or 18 game unbeaten streak. That
Yeah.
propelled us to the top of the league. So I think they reacted really well to that loss. But again, on that day, I felt like we really didn't go for it, and but the both sides didn't go for that for the win on that day. It was just a stroke of genius by Soboslai to get 3 points on that day.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we have Tom joining the channel. Good to have you, bro. Welcome.
Thank
So
you.
talking about the unbeaten streak we had, it was ended in Villa Park. That was a game where we had injury challenges. We still managed to, get a goal after Matikash had scored. But later on, our hearts were broken by Emiliano Buendia. Can you talk me through that game? What were the emotions passing through your mind when Arsenal lost that streak at Villa Park?
Well, firstly, thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tom.
Cool, cool. Thank you very much for having me on. I think it's the first time on the channel.
Yeah.
And I am super apologetic that I am very late. However, the Villa game, what was that? Mid-December.
Yeah, December.
Yeah, I think so. It was in December.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. I mean, see, I remember Eze scoring, but it was offside, and then it was all pretty much everyone saying that the goal was his fault, the Matty Cash goal, because he
Yeah.
wasn't following his man. And then late on, as you said, Emi Buendia completely broke our hearts, but Trossard obviously got the equalising goal that sort of gave Arsenal fans a little bit of hope. And obviously, looking at the game on that day, it was huge. It was very, very important in the title race because we needed to gain points on Man City, and Aston Villa were very, very much sort of in the City Arsenal sort of points range
Yeah.
from so far, which I don't know if you've covered, but there you go. And yeah, it was such a disappointing defeat. Obviously, it was one of I think it might have been Odegaard's first game back, one of from an injury. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was just down to poor concentration, a lack of it at the end. And look, if you look at it, look back on it now, I mean, all of the talk that Aston Villa would be in the title race, and now they're trying to fight for their place in the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
So that's just how quickly football can change, and that's it also shows in the title race so far this season how quickly football can change, because just a couple of weeks ago, Old City are 4 points behind us, and it's squeaky bum time. But now with the 7 point advantage, potentially 10 tomorrow, look, it just shows how quickly football can change, and it's very much why I am still quite nervous from now until the end of the season. But that Aston Villa game, yeah, it's definitely not one that I wanted to remember, but as an Arsenal fan, and I think it was. Oh, I remember now that back line that we set up with. we had a lot of defensive injuries that day.
Yeah, Saliba was not available.
Both
and
the
a couple
centre
of folks, yeah.
backs, I think Mosquera was out as well. So basically, our three sort of, you got your two centre backs and you got Mosquera behind them, who were all out injured.
Yeah.
So yeah, that obviously wouldn't have helped either. But I also think that after that game, we went on a pretty good run of form. So it does show that the Arsenal team have got the mentality to overcome these poor results, and that does give me a little bit of extra hope going into the final couple of months into the season.
Awesome. Rory, welcome back. I hope your network is okay now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's always my monitor for some reason. Like, it may be a restream issue, I'm not sure, but it's every single bloody time it feels like. But, yeah, how are we, lads? Good?
Yeah. Welcome back, bro. So here we kind of touched on the Liverpool loss. Tom touched on the Aston Villa loss. I guess you are the one that's going to handle the Man United loss. That was one that we did not see coming. Yes, they had the whole new manager bounce thing going on, but the way the game panned out, when Merino scored that late corner kick, we expected to, at the very least, get a draw, only for Cunha to break our hearts with that magnificent goal. So, kind of talk us through the Man United game, how you're feeling, and what you're thinking about as that game progressed.
Yeah, that to me is the worst defeat of the season for me. And, we can talk about the Villa game because obviously that's our former manager losing in the last minute is always devastating, right? But to lose to Man United and, the game of that sort of magnitude, like, it was a must-win as well. Like, let's not forget that. But
yeah,
you never want to lose to Man United, especially like when you've just equalised and then you go down the other end and concede. And it's just like the overall performance as well. Like, it was absolutely dreadful in our own gaff as well. And that was Man United's first win at the Emirates in like, what,
7
years?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. So for me, that was the worst defeat of the season. And I don't think anyone, that's the thing. Pretty much most of our defeats this season, which hasn't been many, everybody's been below par. Usually you'd have that standout here and there, but I'm pretty sure like every time we've either dropped points or we've lost, everyone's just been flat to deceive. Like that Man United game, I couldn't think of one player that actually turned up that night, which was just plain devastation, really. Like, the two centre-backs, in fact, the whole defence, to be honest with you, conceded 3 goals. Same applies for the goalkeeper. The midfield was really poor. The attack, despite us scoring 2 goals, I mean, one of them was an own goal and the other was a set piece.
Yeah.
So,
it was terrible, man.
That for me hurt me the most. Hence, I was coming out with masks, etc. that was the worst for me. United, lost the bet as well. Bro.
Yeah, I remember, bro.
I could easily come on here and talk about draws because draws in title races feel like defeats. For instance, that Wolves game.
Yeah.
You all know the reaction.
Yeah, because we're actually going to touch on draws after this defeat. After you talk about the defeat, So I think what I'm going to do now is that I'll let my 3 panelists choose the one game that they regard as their worst draw. We've had 7 draws this season. The first draw was against Man City, the one that Martinelli managed to get a late goal. Then we had the Sunderland draw, 2-2, where Brian Broby actually had that late goal as well. We had the 1-1 draw with Chelsea that looked like a win to them. I can remember how they celebrated that draw because they had a red card. We also had the 0-0 draw with Liverpool. That one was kind of a bit scary because I know Conor Bradley chipped the goalie and almost scored us. We had the 0-0 draw with Nottingham Forest, which for the life of me, anything that Martinelli missed, I want to just cringe. We had the Brentford 1-1 draw where we were leading 1-0, had the opportunity to make it 2, but we missed our chance, and of course the long throw kind of messed us up there. Then of course we had the 2-2 draw with Wolves. So Henry, I'll start with you. In these 7 games, which draw would you regard as your worst and why does that draw classify as the worst to you? Then we'll hear from Tom and Rory.
So I think personally for me, the Nottingham game stands out. Because
Why?
I think because I think at that point, if we had won that game, I think we would have been maybe 10 points clear or 11 points clear. It was a very, very pivotal game for us. And we just didn't turn up on the day. It was a drab performance. It felt like we were scared, and that has been the story of our season so far. Every time we've had the chance to pull clear of City or whoever is in second position, we somehow find a way to drop points or to mess it up and then hope on City not winning or drawing. And that game was very, very pivotal. If we had won that game, I think it would have been maybe double digits. I'm not very sure of how many points clear would have been, but I think it would have been probably double digit, 10 or 11 points. And at that point of the season, City were not really doing well. So I think it would have been like they were struggling. It would have been a dent, to them on their confidence, and it would have just seen us, soar into greater heights, and probably would have been wrapping up this title in early April or something like that, the way Liverpool did it last season. But somehow we found a way to drop points and we let City come back in. And, it was for me, it was really frustrating.
Yeah. I think what stands out for me in that Nottingham Forest game was that Martinelli miss. I don't know for the life of me how he missed that opportunity. Like, the goal was gaping. But that's football for you. All right, Tom. So what's your worst draw?
Well, there's, as Henry said, there's quite a few that stand out due to the fact that we dropped points in positions where we could go and gain a bigger advantage on Manchester City. I'm looking at, as he mentioned, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool. All these draws, and then you've also got the draw at City against City. Sorry, where look that game was looking tough, and then obviously Martinelli.
We almost lost it though.
Yeah, we almost lost that one.
Yeah.
I think the draw against Chelsea, I don't think that's the worst, purely because of the fact that if Chelsea had won that game, they'd have gone within 3 points of us, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
they were that close, actually.
So there's kind of a balanced look on that draw. However, if you're asking for the worst, I just can't look past that Wolves game.
Wolves, yeah.
Going 2-0 up to bottom of the league, and then in the second half just crumbling, and to concede in the final minute as well. The whole world went into meltdown when it came to
pretty much.
So for me, you just can't look past that one as the worst.
I agree. Rory, your thoughts?
Well, I was gonna say Wolves up until the point you guys mentioned the likes of Sunderland. Obviously the Wolves game sticks out the most because it's bottom of the league and you've gone 2-0 up and you've still managed to bottle it.
Yeah.
But then again, I was thinking Sunderland as well around November time, because I feel like if we would have won that game, I feel like there would have been like a major mentality shift, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that was when we were on that clean sheet run, right? 8 clean sheets in a row or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were 2-1 up at the time as well, and we conceded in the last minute due to an error. So I think if we would have won that game, I'm pretty sure I would have had, and perhaps that same applies to everyone else in the fan base, I'm pretty sure if we beat Sunderland, who I believe were unbeaten at home at the time, I think if we would have beaten them and held out for a 2-1 win in the last minute, I think we would all have optimism that we're going to run away with this league. But I think the moment where we conceded that late equaliser, I knew that, we don't have the stomach for these sort of away games when the pressure really mounts. And it's different. I mean, I was going to say Liverpool as well at home, because I think because it's in our own gaff, Liverpool were missing players as well. They had hardly any forward players. We have the opportunity to go, what was it, 8, 9 points above Man City?
9 points at that point if you had won.
Yeah, they drew to I think it was Brighton.
Yeah,
Their own-
1-1.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
But it's a big team. You can at least forgive that in a way. It's still a big team, even
Yeah,
though.
well,
But
no, but
I can't see past.
what kind of pisses me off? Like, look at the Brentford game. They draw with us, right? And the very next game at home to was it Brighton or something? They go on and go and lose.
yeah.
So for
Yeah.
some reason, these teams always have the way they play against us, and when they play their fellow teams, they kind of mess
I
up.
mean, the thing is, Liverpool, I believe, the following week went and dropped points to, I think it may have been Burnley or someone like that.
Yeah, it was Burnley.
Yeah,
Yeah, they dropped points to Burnley the following
at
week.
Anfield.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. And they've already lost to the bottom of the league this season.
Yeah.
So I probably, I'm going to say Liverpool at home, because at that point I was like, yo, these lot don't want to win the league. These lot are trying to actually limp over the line, which you can't do when a title's at stake. You just can't. So I'll probably say Liverpool. That may sound unpopular, but because it's at home and Liverpool had 5, 6 players out due to injury, we had an opportunity to go 9 points clear, which for me, that would have been the title dead and buried.
Yeah.
Right? And that was prior, the Wolves game. I'm going to say that one.
Yeah, and there's been a chat in the comment from Lex FG. Thanks for being here. He says us being the only team not scoring against Liverpool was criminal.
Exactly.
So guys, before we go to the next slide, let's talk about the running. We have 8 games to go. Man City has 9 games to go. And of course, our run is Everton home, Bournemouth home, the important clash against Man City in the Etihad, Newcastle home, Fulham home, West Ham away, Burnley home, Crystal Palace home, away. So the next 8 games, we're actually playing 5 games at home, right? And we still have this advantage over Man City. Now, looking at Man City's fixtures real quick, they have West Ham away. Then, of course, they have Chelsea away. They have home against us, Burnley away, Everton away, Brentford home, Bournemouth away, Villa home, and of course, the outstanding game against Crystal Palace. It seems like their fixtures look a bit harder than ours on paper. But Tom, let me start with you on this. Looking at both teams going head to head, what are your concerns in the running? Or are you confident that we can get it over the line?
I feel like my concerns, as we've mentioned, would be the draws, because if you look at last year, it was the draws that killed us.
Yeah, 14 draws, quite a lot.
Yeah, that's what killed us. We didn't really lose many games. It was more, the fact that we were only picking up 1 point, which felt like every other game. And I think we just need to get over the line, and that's definitely improved this season because we're 7 points clear, and we have been the best team in the league. Now, I'm not concerned by Manchester City, to be honest with you.
Okay.
No, I know people will say that they're going to go on a 10-game winning streak because they've got this, that, and the other. But look, how much money have they spent since last January? That's all I'm going to say. They're a completely different side to the team that won the treble, to the team that went and got 100 points in the season. They're a completely different team that won the Champions League, and even the season after that won the title. They're Semenyo, Gahey, Donnarumma in goal. They've got all these new additions. Cherky as well, who I think's probably been signing of the season.
Player, actually.
Yeah, however, I just don't see where this 10-game winning run's coming, and I think they look shaky at the back defensively. They've got 9 games left now, Manchester City, and we've got 8. We've just got to win our games. At the end of the day, if we win all our games, other than the game at the Etihad, we've won the title, and I think this team has got it within them to go and do that. So
Awesome.
for me, I think the biggest concern would be us playing against ourselves, and
Okay.
I think that there are times where Arteta can probably play a little bit less stubborn, which I think from now until the end of the season, albeit if you play like that and it's a 1-0 win against Brighton, at the Amex, if it's like that every game, I'm not complaining because we win every game, But if we were to do that and start dropping points, then look, you could probably you'd expect a little bit of a meltdown within the fan base again. However, I'm not concerned by Manchester City. I'm definitely not concerned by Manchester United, who are currently in third.
Mhm.
I think the biggest concern would be, Arsenal playing against Arsenal.
Fair.
But if they show that they've got it up here, then it should be fine.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Henry, let's talk injuries. For some reason, injuries just tend to happen to us a lot, and that was basically the main killer for us last season when we lost Gabriel Jesus to his ACL in January. We lost Kai Havertz to the hamstring. So basically we had to use Mikel Merino as our centre forward, which was really terrible in all honesty. Now going into this new campaign, the injuries have not still stopped. But what do you think has been the major difference between last season's injuries that killed our campaign and this season's injuries that are still happening, but we are still on top? Has the depth really come true, or do you think that we need to try and do better to ensure that these injuries stop happening?
Well, I think it's obvious that we really added not just strength in depth, we also added like quality. I think Mosquera has come in and has done an admirable job so far. I didn't see that coming, I think we got him for like how much? 13, 15 million
13
pounds?
mil, yeah.
13 mil, which is,
It's still, man.
It's easily like a 30 million. It looks like a 30, 40 million player, He's been
Yeah.
amazing so far. Hincapié, who came in, towards the end of the last. I was so excited, seeing Hincapié coming because I know this guy. I've watched him at Leverkusen. I know he's a solid player. There were doubts at the beginning, but he looked a bit shaky, rusty. But since then he's moved on from strength to strength. And it's funnily, if Hincapié was not available, we would have probably relied on Lewis Kelly. And
Yeah.
and I think we've been able to see what Lewis Kelly has done so far this season. So imagine we've had to rely on Skelly like for the entirety of the season. It would have been a disaster again, the same way it was last season. So I think they added the quality they brought in was really good, and the depth. However, there's still a couple of injuries going on because I think Arteta has not been able to. For example, like Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi, they've been playing way too many games. I don't think he trusts Nogard enough to play in the Premier League, which is a bit surprising because
He's an experienced Premier League player. Actually.
It's a seasoned Premier League player. I think he should be getting more games in the Premier League. Especially when we go, especially when we play at home.
Want to see out games and stuff.
Yeah. When we play at home to like a mid-table or a lower division side, we can start with Nogard in. And give Zubimendi a bit of a breather. But so far he's not been able to effectively rotate the players enough. I think he's done a good job with Madueke and Saka on the other side, Martinelli and Trossard on the left side. I think he's been able to rotate them a bit, but I think the midfield duo of Rice and Zubimendi need help because I think they're running on red right now because Merino has been out for a while. We really need Noga to come in, and he has been really reluctant to throw him at the deep end in the Premier League. He's been using him in the cups so far, and it's been from what I've seen from him, like he looks a really good guy. He looks a really good player. So I think we need a bit more rotation, especially with the easier games. At least in the next 10, 15 games that we have for the rest of the season, because now this is really the final stretch, and you need all the legs you can. So
Awesome.
He has to do better with the rotation.
Okay, I agree with you. So let's see a couple of comments in the chat. So we have Okeogan, regular in the channel. Good to have you, bro. So Arsenal seems to have winnable games, but they are tricky. I agree with that sentiment. But it says Man City needs to do a couple of games, then Lex was talking about the squad depth, and of course the fact that we went into the campaign with less than 23 players that were not serious. So guys, let's drift to the next competition, which is the Champions League. Arsenal are trying to establish themselves back in this competition. There was a time when we qualified for 19 consecutive seasons in the Champions League, and we all felt that it was like our birthright. Over here, was saying that top four was a trophy. But from 2016-17 to 2021, we actually didn't play in the Champions League for 6 seasons, where we were in the trenches of the Europa League and spent quality time there before came back up. We know our first stint back, quarter-final loss to Bayern Munich, second stint back is semi-final loss to PSG, and obviously you know how this draw is this time. So Rory, can you just talk me through your thoughts on us being on the blue bracket of the Champions League, and with the games that have been played, obviously between Tuesday and Wednesday, all the first leg games took place. So you've seen how the silver bracket is, how it's cooking in that location.
So like just the knockout bracket or just the Champions League as a whole?
No. I'm talking about we are on the blue bracket, right?
Yeah.
We have in quotes the easy route to the Champions League final, while the folks on the silver bracket are the ones that are kind of killing it: Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG, So my question to you is, what's your thought on where we are right now, and is it evident that we are certainly going to make the Champions League final?
Yeah, like obviously we've put ourselves in a brilliant position in the Champions League, haven't we? Due to the fact we've finished top, we've won all 8 games, conceded 4 goals. I think we scored 31, if I'm not mistaken. So we deservedly got put in the easier bracket than everyone else, because I don't listen. Liverpool played PSG last season, and it's just the way the cookie crumbles at the end of the day. PSG finished in like the playoffs, so yeah, Liverpool finished top last season, drew them, and they got knocked out. But that's exactly how the bracket should play out, right? If you finish top of the league phase, you should play someone relatively easy. Although Wednesday night wasn't easy, was it? Against the Leverkusen side. It was sick.
That was a scary game, man.
It's further proof that there's no easy game in the Champions League either, as opposed to the Premier League. So got to take each game seriously. We saw Bodo Glimt the other night against Sporting. They're looking likely they're going to go on a bloody fairy tale run, it's fair to say, in the Champions League. So they're not going to be easy either. And then, the semi-final could be either Newcastle, Barcelona and Tottenham. Fortunately, Tottenham won't be making it that far. It's looking like listen, as if they were going to reach that far anyway. I think, a North London derby semi-final, real talk here, I think pulses would be bounding. I'm not going to lie. A North London derby semi-final over 2 legs. I don't know how much I could handle that, in all honesty. But it's looking likely it's going to be, if we, of course, make it past Leverkusen, that's for sure. Bodo Glimt to the quarterfinals, then the semi-finals, Barcelona, Newcastle, or Atletico Madrid, which, considering how we've been playing in the Champions League, apart from that one game against Leverkusen, where I think we could all agree that it was a dreadful performance.
Yeah.
We have been excellent in the Champions League, whether that be in, the space, I'm not entirely sure. It's almost like Leverkusen knew, like, if they could set up deep, then they could actually get a result against Arsenal, because, in the Premier League, we've struggled to break down them low blocks, haven't we? So I feel like against a team like, I don't know, Barcelona, Bodo Glimt maybe, they'll actually come out and leave space, which would, of course, suit our game plan a lot more than,
I don't know,
a team that obviously would sit back.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Leverkusen played a similar game to how Porto did a couple seasons back when we played them in the knockout stages, when I think in the last 2 games against them, they basically got a result in the first leg in the last minute, and then of course in the second leg, because they had a lead to hold on to, they ended up sitting back, and we ended up, of course, winning that on penalties. This time out, obviously, we drew 1-1 to Leverkusen, so it may encourage Leverkusen to come out a little bit. And this is why I think we will get through against Leverkusen in the second leg, whether that being, normal time, extra time, penalties, whatever. I think we will make it through against Leverkusen, and then we'll face Bodo Glimt. But as I alluded to at the start, I think we deservedly are in the easier side of the bracket. Sorry,
Yeah.
because of our performances and the fact we've beaten the likes of Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, and
Inter
Inter
Milan.
Milan as well. Like that, these
Yeah.
teams are no pushovers. That's for sure. Inter Milan, I think, are first or second in the Serie A. If they're
Bayern
not,
on top two. Yeah. I
yeah.
agree,
So
man.
top two in Serie A. They've not lost a Champions League game at the San Siro in God knows how long before they eventually played us, of course, and Bodo Glimt. Bayern Munich have been arguably one of the best teams in Europe, if not the best, in the
Yeah.
Champions League. And then Atletico Madrid, like everyone came into this game thinking, oh, Diego Simeone masterclass, Haram ball, Classico, whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you got put on a spliff, man. Worked him so good.
yeah, outplayed them at
Yeah.
home. So
True.
I think we can definitely rely on our home form to, get through in the Champions League. I think it's done us massive favours that we're playing away from home first.
No, in all our games, right? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
so we've
agree.
got our home form to, we've got the home leg to,
Yeah.
rescue whatever's the damage that's being done, basically. And I've always preferred it that way, even in like the Europa League. I preferred us to play away from home first before we eventually played them at home, but obviously it was vice versa. So
Yeah.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterfinals is also at home in the first leg.
Yeah, I think all the games all the way to the final are actually away in the
Yeah,
Emirates
so
in the
yeah,
second leg,
as I
which
said,
is
I
actually
prefer
a
it that
very
way.
good game.
I definitely
Yes.
prefer it that way.
So Tom, look at the comment on the chat from Okeogan. Leverkusen draw was a bit of a wobble, sleepless nights till Tuesday. In all honesty, can you tell me how you felt watching us play on Wednesday night? Like, where did it go wrong for us? Because the narrative was that we were going to rest 1,001 players for the game against Mansfield, which meant that all our lads were going to be fresh for the Leverkusen game. But what the hell did we see on Wednesday, bro?
Obviously it wasn't very convincing against Bayer Leverkusen. I thought we could have done better personally. And I'm sure everyone here will agree. But look, as I'm basically going to echo what Rory said, the second leg is at the Emirates. We've got a very good record at the Emirates, and we've actually got a very good record in the Champions League. Before this, we hadn't
Yeah.
actually no team had actually led against Arsenal, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the league phase, we didn't go 1-0 down. So hopefully that form can continue into the second leg. However, it would have been nice to sort of wrap it up in the first leg, which we did against PSV last season. But you just I know people want to say that we've got an easy side of the draw, but you just can't underestimate anyone in the Champions League at this stage of the season. And I'm sure we'll chat later about this, but I do kind of feel it was a little bit of a reality check to the people that were saying
Yeah. Yeah.
treble, quadruple, treble, we're going to win everything, because no one's won a quadruple before. It's obviously very, very difficult to do so, and no side's perfect. I don't think we're perfect at the minute. And yeah, I do feel it was a little bit of a reality check, and it wouldn't be a season for Arsenal without us sort of messing something up and bottling
Yeah. Yeah.
something, or giving the media something to say that we've bottled a trophy or whatever, which kind of does make me nervous for the League Cup final in a week's time. But look, I'm sure we'll get the job done in the second leg. It's at home, under the lights at the Emirates,
Yeah.
and it will probably be Bodo Glimt in the quarterfinals. And look, all the Champions League teams have got to do is look at us in the Premier League and how teams face against us, and see that this is the way to frustrate Arsenal, get a result against Arsenal, and potentially force our way into a penalty shootout, which can go either way. Penalty shootout's
Either
flip
way.
of a coin, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I think if you look at the other sort of side of the Champions League draw, PSG, Man City, Real Madrid, we have avoided some big names. Bayern Munich, how can I forget them? I actually think Bayern Munich will make the final. I think that they're good. Right, that's what I'm going to say. They're good.
Yeah, they're
Um,
really good.
yeah.
I agree. All right,
So
that's
I
fine.
think I think they'll make the final um from that side of the bracket. And then you look at this side, you know, if we face Bodo Glimt in the next round, if we beat Leverkusen, they're on an unbelievable run at form in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And you look at Newcastle, Anthony Gordon, Champions League goal scoring record has been great.
Mhm.
Harvey Barnes' goal scoring record has been great. So you just can't rule Newcastle out. And then you've obviously got um, Atletico Madrid, who, look, in the league phase, we beat them 4-0. So look, it would give me some sort of confidence if we were to face them in the semi finals.
Yeah, but we actually beat PSG in the league phase last season, man. Got whooped in the
Exactly,
semis. So we have to
exactly.
be careful.
That's a very good point. And then, look, you've got Barcelona as well, who are arguably the best team in La Liga right now. You know, they've got Lamine Yamal, who's definitely within shouts of being the best player in the world. And then you've got Tottenham, who definitely won't make it. Um, so
Okay, yeah. That's fair, bro. Thanks.
yeah, look, I think it was a little bit of reality check the other night. You know, we're definitely not winning the quadruple. I'll just put it out there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
however, domestic treble still very much on.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, Henry, let's talk about this comment. What happened to Saka? He needs to get back to form for the running. Yes, I know Saka has been a monster for us, basically carried this team on his back for many years. And of course, he had that terrible hamstring injury in December 2024. And I think since then, we haven't gotten the same player for more. As in, I think he has lost his step. He doesn't have his shot in the final third isn't as sharp as it used to be. So, what do you think is going on with Saka, and what do you think can be done differently for him to improve?
I think it's a case of expectation and reality. Um, a lot of people expect Saka, to move, from being a very good player into a world class player, which is like delivering 20, 25, 30 odd goals, every season. And um, I've seen him for the last 5 years. I don't think he's that kind of player. That it's definitely not going to give you 30 goals, 25 goals a season. Let's just put that on the table. Secondly, I think, like you said, since he had that injury, he has lost, a bit of spring in his step. He's lost a bit of sharpness. But prior even to that injury, I think he's been kind of figured out in a way. In the Premier League, it's kind of easy to double up on him, and funnily that coincides with Timber, coming into the team. That overlapping run that Ben White gives, Timber really doesn't consistently give it. So Saka is most likely, it's not a really direct player in comparison to Madueke. So I think he's going to struggle. The only way to solve that problem is to get a really good winger on the left, which can really stretch the pitch for us. Martinelli is not very good at that. He has pace, but he's not really a good 1v1 dribbler, in tight spaces. Trossard is what he is, technically gifted, but very slow. Unfortunately, he can't also stretch the pitch for us. So I think if we want to get the best out of Saka, we need to go out this summer and get a good 1v1 winger on the left that is also capable of scoring. Now that's a very big problem, because if you look at the market today, maybe we're looking at maybe Vinicius Junior or maybe Kvaratskhelia. I think I don't know where else we find that profile of winger. So we have a big problem in going. Never mind the transfer market, going into the last 8 games of the season, because Saka is not going to do much more than what he has been doing. I think he has been figured out, and the way the team is set up, these days, it's not playing to his strength. So it's really a long 8 games in the Premier League. I don't know how we're going to do it. I'm personally stressed about facing Everton tomorrow, especially knowing that David Moyes is that type of manager. He takes pride in frustrating the opponents and sitting, really deep, and that is something that we've struggled. Especially if you remember 2 seasons ago, we lost to his West Ham team at the Emirates. Again, it was a 2-0 game.
Where we had 30 shots and we
Exactly.
didn't score. Yeah, I remember that.
He's coming back to the stomping ground. I don't know. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. I don't know. I just hope we somehow find a way to get the 3 points in the bag. But on the Saka issue, I don't know. I feel like this season there's not much we can do. We just have to rotate him and Madueke and see what comes out best on that right wing.
Yeah, nice one. So Lex FFG has a couple of comments in the chat. Says that I think Saka needs to focus on one thing, being a provider of assists, and that will do him a whole lot of good because every natural striker and don't depend on a front three to do the work every time. Okay, so now let's look at the domestic cups, and I think the first point to start it would be the FA Cup. Domestic cups are competition that you can't underrate. Typically, these tournaments have been very important for us. Now, the record books show that we are the record holders of the FA Cup with 14 in our hands. And of course, the last time we won it was 6 years ago, which is quite a long while. Since then, there have been 5th round losses, 4th round losses, 3rd round losses, and obviously this is a new campaign where Lizzie Luck has really smiled on us. So Rory will go with you on this. We had the game against Portsmouth, won that, had the game against Wigan, now had Mansfield, now we have Southampton. So what's your take on the draws that we've been having and looking at the landscape of the FA Cup quarterfinals, being the men that Man City is playing Liverpool, do you think this is a good competition that we can actually win?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is about time we actually got a bit of luck from the FA Cup draw because over the years we've had to play the likes of Liverpool, Man United, Man City in the early stages, and we've been knocked out. Man City, of course, have had Newcastle and now Liverpool back to back. So, I mean, when you look at the schedule, right, of Man City in comparison to Arsenal, we obviously have the license to rotate and rest certain players here and there. Man City, I feel like.
So that's Henry. Let me mute him.
Oh,
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was just going to say, right, when you look at the schedule of both teams around that time where City do play the FA Cup, I think they've got Real Madrid. Well, they've had, of course, one of the games against Madrid. Mm-hmm. They've got, I believe, a couple of away games in the Premier League, and then it's Liverpool in the FA Cup. So
so the run is West Ham away, Real Madrid home, Arsenal Carabao Cup final, then Liverpool FA Cup.
Yeah, so that might give them the license to sort of, I don't know, for the first time in years, I'd say, they might be in a situation where they don't know whether to stick or twist. Because I think when you look at both squads, right, not in terms of quality, but in terms of how stacked both squads are, and I think I may have mentioned it on the show we've done. I think it may have been when we beat Mansfield in the FA Cup on that Saturday. I believe I said this, that I think we do have a better squad than Man City in terms of how stacked we are. Maybe not in terms of quality, but in terms of the players we could actually choose from and the amount of players we can rotate. We for sure have, for the first time in years, a better squad than Man City overall. So we can definitely go far in this FA Cup. And quarterfinals, I mean, listen, all I wanted to see in these domestic competitions, if we are going to win the league, the Champions League, whatever, at least, make it look like you're not throwing these sort of cup competitions in the bin. That's been my problem over the years. And it's safe to say, and I know like you can point out the level of opposition, but at the same time, you've got to beat what's in front of you. And as I said earlier, right, we've not had the luck of the draw, have we, in the FA Cup lately? Or the Carabao Cup, in all fairness. Although we have played Crystal Palace, we have played Chelsea, so still, like, we have played reasonable teams in the Carabao Cup, but then, of course, the FA Cup, Portsmouth, I thought was a decent performance in the end. Wigan was probably our best performance of the season, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 4 goals in 23 minutes. That was some good stuff, man.
And then, Mansfield was really poor, if you ask me, and Mansfield actually, to be fair, I don't want to take anything away from Mansfield, but let's be honest, it's Arsenal versus Mansfield, and the team we set out with, I think Arteta definitely underestimated them by playing basically no balance.
The kind of lineup he used,
Yeah, Havertz in CDM, Dalman, who's been playing right wing for pretty much his time at Arsenal so far. He was playing midfield. You had Trossard in there as well, and of course,
too many square pegs in round holes.
Kai Havertz in midfield.
That's mental. But I think we definitely win the FA Cup for me. We're one game away from Wembley, basically. So, I think we should. Why not go for the FA Cup? If you win a domestic treble, if you win a domestic double this season, I've always said just go and win a blooming trophy, for Christ's sake. Whether that be the Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League, just go and win a trophy because I'm starving over here. I'd see anything. I would see anything right now, apart from, of course, the Community Shield, because that doesn't count. But, you get the point, right? FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League, Premier League. I would happily take a domestic double, 100%. And we've put ourselves in a good position by, taking care of business. I think, in the past, we would probably struggle because, we had no squad inflation back then. Like, we were limited big time. We had to, play players like Fabio Vieira, Marquinhos, and the rest were pretty much first team players, right? But then, we had the Premier League as well to focus on and the Champions League to prioritise. So the players would gas out. And I still maintain that I think this team has gassed out a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, we look fatigued, actually, man.
Yeah, but I think the sole reason why we are in such a good position in all 4 competitions is because of, the recruitment in the summer, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever you think of the new signings so far...
Don't better, man.
Yeah, whatever you think of the new signings, you can't deny that they have had a massive effect on us.
Yeah, they did. I agree. Because they are coming to fill in certain critical times and all. Okay, so Tom, let's look at the teams that are still in the FA Cup right now. We are playing Southampton, Chelsea is playing Port Vale, Leeds is playing West Ham, and of course, Man City is playing Liverpool. What's your ideal semi-final? Okay, first, let me rephrase my question. What are the 4 teams you think? No, the draws have not been done yet. No, it's after the game.
Semi-finals, I think.
No, they have not been done. No, it's after the quarterfinal they do the draws for the semi-finals. So the question to you, Tom, is this: what are the 4 teams you want to see in the semis? Who would you like us to take on in that semis and win and go to the final?
Oh, I'd love to beat Chelsea in the semi-final and have Port Vale in the final. That obviously can't happen.
Yeah.
Look, for me, I think we should be able to get through Southampton. It's nasty. It's nasty in the UK. It's in Southampton. It's away on a Saturday and it's at 8 o'clock. It's nasty. It'll be nasty. It'll be cold. It'll be horrible for the players and for the fans that travel at St Mary's Park.
St Mary's, yeah.
At St Mary's Stadium. Look, we should be able to get the job done. If you look at the run that we've had in the FA Cup so far this season, we got Portsmouth, where obviously Martinelli bagged his hat-trick. We've had Wigan, who were just destroyed in that first half. And then we had
Mansfield.
Mansfield, sorry,
Yeah.
um, who definitely made that tough. However, that does show that, away to these um, English Football League grounds, the Mansfields, the Portsmouths, they do make it tricky, which is why I'd have felt a lot more comfortable if this quarter-final tie was at the Emirates. I do think it does play a huge advantage to these Premier League clubs when they have their cup games at home, especially against these lower league oppositions. That Grimsby Town Wolves game sums it all up. That
Yeah,
pitch,
that's a terrible pitch, man.
that
What the
pitch,
hell?
man. It was awful, and you can say the same for Mansfield. Like the grass
Yeah,
wasn't even green, for goodness sake.
yeah, we had two
Um,
injuries from that game.
yeah, exactly. The players just weren't used to playing on a surface like that, and it nearly proved costly. But it was just the the what you'd expect to happen happened. The quality out of Arsenal um, beat Mansfield in the end, obviously through Madueke and Eze with some good goals there. In the semi-finals, Arteta has got an incredible record at Wembley. Has only ever won there. FA Cup final, a couple of Community Shields.
Yeah,
Has only ever won there. So that would give me a boost in confidence. And what else gives me a boost in confidence is one of Manchester City and Liverpool will be knocked out in this round, which I think
yeah,
is huge
awesome, man.
because
Yeah, that's very huge. I agree.
yeah, Arteta is still yet to get the better of Slot. Whatever you think of Liverpool this season, he's made it difficult for Arteta every time he's played him. And obviously Manchester City and Manchester City, you just can't ever rule them out,
Yeah.
especially in these cup competitions. But I do think that if we get past Southampton, we are obviously in a very strong position. Similarly to the League Cup, we are in a very strong position to win it.
Mhm.
I think, you know, the whole Wembley thing, I think it's just Arsenal. It's basically Arsenal's second home at this point. You know, Tottenham, Tottenham were at Wembley for a little while, but it's Arsenal's second home, Wembley, and it's such a shame that we haven't been there for a couple of years now.
Mhm.
And look, if Arteta's saved these 4 or 5 years of heartbreak for a quadruple this season, then
It's worth it, man.
fair enough, you've repaid it. But
Yeah.
look, at the end of the day, a trophy's a trophy. I don't care how it comes. I don't care if it comes through easy cup ties. I don't know if
Mhm.
any of you actually watched the draw, but Joe Cole, I think, was doing it. And he mentioned how Arsenal just get easy draws. Bear in mind, he obviously played for Chelsea, and they got Port Vale at home. No disrespect to Port
Look at the
Vale,
rest of the
but
draw as well, bro.
Yeah.
exactly. No disrespect to Port Vale, but it's quite an easy tie at home. If it was
Mm.
away, then yeah, fair enough. It's a little bit more difficult, but
Yeah, because they want Sunderland away. I agree. All right, so
yeah,
yeah, so Henry, let's talk about the Carabao Cup. So we started the campaign with an away game to Port Vale. That was where Izzy scored his first goal. And of course, we played against Brighton, where it's Nwaneri scored that lovely goal and we won them. Crystal Palace was quite a scare. We went all the way to penalty shootouts with them. Kepa Arrizabalaga, did well. Then there was a double header against Chelsea. When they got their new coach, the LinkedIn Liam, and we beat them home and away. Now we're in the final with Man City. How confident are you that we are going to win this game?
Oh, how confident? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one. Um, I feel it's going to be a fair game on the day. Whoever turns up on that day is going to win, and I hope it's one of those days where Arsenal come out fighting. As we've shown in this season in various patches, especially against Bayern, we had that second half or 30 minutes time, where we just completely blew them over. We've shown that we have this, ability to, to blow teams, but it's not been consistent enough for me. And I do hope that, on that day against City, we show exactly the kind of fight and determination that we showed when we played them at the Emirates earlier this season, where we pinned them so much that Pep had to bring in extra two defenders, and it was like Mourinho ball time. So I just really want to see us that day go for it and not panic so much in the fear of losing. I would rather we go bravely, obviously with calculated risk, not just going guns out blazing, but put up a fight. And, it's a final. It's anybody's game. Just go for it and shoot and give us a good performance on the day. Any team that puts up a fight in a final usually always comes out victor. So I hope that we show what we've been showing this season in patches on that final. But in terms of confidence, considering the last run of games that we've had so far, I'm not really I'm not too stressed because I know that this team has grown in terms of mentality. You can see that in comparison to season or 2 seasons. They've grown, they've matured a lot, but still they have that 1 or 2 momentary lapse in them, and I don't want to see that on that day.
Awesome. Rory, let me get your take on this. And I'm asking you the same question I asked Henry. How confident are you of Arsenal winning the Carabao Cup final?
I mean, it's always like if buts and maybes, really. Because for me, right, I think if we set up to win this final, I think we beat Man City 100%. I think with no Guehi for Man City, I think that could probably play into our favour because, before Guehi came in fact, I think, when Guehi wasn't there, City were quite underwhelming, weren't they?
They look really shaky in defence.
Yeah,
very shaky. I think he's applied a lot of discipline in that back four, apart from the other night against Real Madrid. Jesus Christ! But
No, that was horrible, man. They roasted him, man. Jeez.
That's the Champions League. Yes, a different
reality check game.
That's always the problem with bringing in Premier League proven players because they have no experience at the big stage.
Yeah.
And, again, it same applies for Semenyo because he was
lost as well. Too. True.
Yeah, going to the Bernabeu, trust me, it's a different breed. I'm just saying, we rocked up there with Kiwi all last season, and back onto this game, right? I think, listen, we do actually have the fundamentals to win this game. I really do. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with the goalkeeper. Whether he starts
I'll watch Raya for that game though. And keeper has done well, but this is the final.
Kepa has a bad reputation in League Cup finals, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I think he missed the penalty at one stage, or was that the
for Chelsea against Liverpool?
Yeah, missed the penalty, and of course he refused to come off. So
I
would be starting Raya in that final. Hopefully, we'll have players fit as well, because I don't know. It seems like every big game we miss players due to either injury or suspension. So hopefully, that's not going to be the case, and we'll have everyone fit for that. If the manager sets us up with basically not really a double pivot in midfield, because I feel like in these big games, Rice and Zubimendi play almost like centre backs.
Yeah, they are too deep.
Yeah, too deep for my liking.
Yeah.
So he's actually got to be brave on this one. See it as Man City, I believe, have lost their last 2 finals at Wembley. Arsenal, or should I say Mikel Arteta, has played 12 finals at Wembley and he hasn't lost a single one. Unless... I don't think he was in the squad for the Birmingham game, was he?
No.
That
was 2011. He wasn't there.
That was 10-11. He joined us 11-12.
Yeah, I thought so. But, I think that should hopefully give us confidence. But at the same time, do I believe Arteta's going to go there and win? I'm not entirely sure because this is the first final we've been in since the FA Cup, obviously, where we won that. So obviously, this team hasn't experienced the final before. I know it's not, the biggest
Yeah.
and the most prestigious final, but I think this could do us good, whether we win it or not, right? I don't think this team necessarily has the stomach to go to Budapest, for instance, for a Champions League final. I just don't see it. So for me, as I said, whether we win it or not, the Carabao Cup, hopefully, because the players have now had that experience in a final, we actually have the testicles to get over the line if we next time are in a Champions League final or whatever, or
Nice.
in the Premier League as well on the final day, because we've not witnessed like this sort of pressure. I think we needed this sort of cup run in the League Cup for me because listen,
Yeah.
I think
Like galvanize the guys and all that if they actually win.
yeah, exactly. I think if we win, it's a long day for these rival fans, trust me, because I think we actually go on to win the league and a couple more trophies.
Yeah, especially with the fact that after playing the Carabao Cup final, there's an international break. So the celebrations are going to go deep into, a while before we don't come back to football again.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Although to be fair, players will be going on international duty, won't they?
Yeah,
That's
World Cup qualifiers and stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
they will play, and that's the frustrating thing. So hopefully, because England are already through to the World Cup, hopefully players such as Saka and Declan Rice won't be going because I
Hopefully.
feel like they desperately need this break because the likes of Rice, Zubomendi, like they're in the red zone at the moment.
Yeah.
So I feel like they do need rested. They do need resting. But yeah, I think we beat Man City in the final. I really do. We have a decent reputation of beating them at Wembley. Apart from the last time we encountered them in the
Yeah,
final.
we
But we
smashed
don't have
3-0,
Mustafi
man.
rocking in the back. So
That was the one where Ederson played the ball to Aguero, right? And he just chipped
oh my
spinner.
god, yeah,
That was, I think that was
just
Arsene
that was
Wenger's last season.
that was just
yeah.
pathetic, man.
We had to rock somebody off
Yeah.
speeder in
So,
goal.
so Tom, you were saying you were nervous. Like, are you nervous about the final, or are you nervous about our running in the Premier League? As you know, you were talking about your nervousness in the Premier League. But does that nervousness stem into this Carabao Cup final too?
I think I'm more nervous, as I said, because Arsenal, the media noise, it's not really what you would want, especially when we're in the position that we're in.
Yeah.
As I said, no team's ever won every competition in England before in a single season, so it would be quite the accomplishment. And look, I think we've put ourselves in a really good opportunity, in a really good position in the League Cup. Look, I think, as I said, as you've all said as well, Arteta's record at Wembley is really positive. And I think on the day we've definitely got the quality to beat Manchester City. And I'm not worried about them. I'm just what I said I was nervous about was Arsenal playing against Arsenal.
Arsenal. Okay, and
Um,
that's in the league, right? And obviously, okay, yeah, I get that. Because
yeah,
sometimes we tend to implode ourselves.
yeah, and
Like this when they passed the ball to Mbuemo. Like, what the hell was that, man?
yeah, it's the little errors like that. Like, you really don't want them, you know, jumping out of players at this time in the season. Looking at where we are in all competitions, so as long as we're disciplined at the back, and we keep our heads calm, we should be all good for that League Cup final. And
That's all.
also, I think we play Bayer Leverkusen on the Tuesday, and then we don't play again until the Sunday. So that's some good
Rest.
preparation time for the final as well. So
Yeah.
look, I am obviously I'm not fully confident going into this cup final. especially based off of the current performances that Arsenal have had recently. But I think we've for sure got the quality to beat Man City on the day.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we've kind of gone round on the competitions. It's not time to go to the next section, but I think there are a couple of comments on the chat. We have okay again. It says winning the Carabao Cup is big because to reduce the pressure for the rest of the season. And I agree because when these guys have that feeling of winning, they would have the momentum to go ahead. So it's also key to know that basically every successful season is built on some individual performances. We have had some players that have stepped up. Our defense have really been improved. Our midfield control have been excellent. Our attack still, a whole lot to be desired. So I'll talk to my panelists. Who are the key players to you? I'll start with you, Tom. I'll start with you, Tom, again. Can you give me the key players that has really driven our season, in your own opinion? And Henry and Rory, you can be thinking about your answer once Tom is done. And you can give your reason
Um,
why as well.
Christian Norgard. No.
Okay, I'm going to end this stream here, man.
For me, I think. Look, I think the defense has obviously played such an important part this season. I think the
Yeah.
performances of David Raya, Gabriel, those two in particular, I don't think can can be ignored. I think that they've both been very, very good this season. You've also got the rest of the defence in Capier. Took him a little while, I think, to settle in, especially at left back. But I think now he's done that. He's looked really, really positive there.
Mhm.
And then Timber on the other side as well. As I think, especially in the first half of the season, was very good. I think he needs a little bit of a break at the minute, and that's where these squad players. I know I joked about Norgard, but the Ben Whites, the Zubamendi, this is where they can come in, especially against Everton tomorrow. You feel like Ben White could probably have a little bit of a run out, which is
Yeah.
where they can play their important part. Um, and then in the midfield, Declan Rice, of course, is Declan Rice. He's important for us every year, and that's continued on. You look at the arrival of Zubamendi, and how he's adapted. Obviously, I think he's a little bit error prone, but I think you can expect that in a new league. But on the
Mhm.
whole, I think he's adapted pretty well. And then, look, in attack, people could say we've been a little bit underwhelming this season, which I agree with.
Mhm.
But
That's the truth.
we've still scored a lot of goals this season.
Yeah.
So I think the performances of you know the Yokerezes, the Trossards, the Martinellis in cup competitions. I think also Madueke in cup competitions. I actually think has been quite good, especially in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I think if you can make an argument that every player is important. But if you want to look at individuals, then I think I'd probably go to our best player being either Gabriel or David Raya. For
Mhm.
me, I think those two in particular have just been immense, and I'd love to win all the competitions, all being decisive of Gabriel's corners.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay, Henry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we can as well just hand out the player of the season to Gabriel already right now. Has been a rock so far this season. Composed looks, you know, funnily, I was never a big fan of Gabriel because if you remember very well, in the earlier part of his career in Arsenal, it was really, really
Yeah, he was
error
error
prone.
prone, man. Yeah.
Error prone. Like, but he's got all of that shit out. He looks really assured right now. And I think without Gabriel, our defense doesn't just look the same. So he gives that assurance, that solidity, in the team. And I think Raya too has been really, really, really good. Even though I feel like he could be better. It's crazy. It's a
Mm.
crazy thing to say, but I feel like some of the goals we've considered, he could just, do better. But even though he has been magnificent, he's made a couple of unbelievable saves. But sometimes when I look at the saves that Donnarumma makes in some kind of key moments. I just feel like, you know, Raya could give us an extra maybe 2, 3, 4 points somewhere, you know. But he has been magnificent so far. I mean, one of the standout players of the season. I think Timber, you know, since coming back from his cruciate ligament, he's been a fantastic servant, you know. And Declan Rice. For me, these are the 4 players that I would pin this entire season on as the backbone of the team. Declan Rice has been a workhorse, you know, in midfield. You know, it's been pumping, you know, right there in the attack, and you know, always in defense. You know, his tireless running has been really crucial. You know, in at least keeping the midfield. Zubimendi has been really good. You know, he has changed the way our midfield, you know, looks like. It's completely different from the way Partey plays. He's giving us a bit of you know, playing out ability from the back better than what Thomas Partey, you know, did last season or season before last. So personally, I think I prefer the way our midfield looks a bit now, except from the fact that we need something just in front of these 2 guys that is a bit more creative than what Odegaard and what Eze gives us right now. But I think basically these 4 or 5 players they've been magnificent so far this season.
Awesome. And I like, before I hear from Rory, you know, Okiogan says that Odegaard and Saka not playing optimally has had a big impact this season. Odegaard has really had too many injuries this campaign and really struggled for form. Same with Saka. Okay, so before we round up this slide, Rory, can we hear your thoughts? The key players that have been driving our season so far for you?
Well, for sure, Declan Rice and Gabriel are the standouts for me. I think if Declan Rice didn't stay fit all season, I reckon we would be struggling. I don't think we would be in the top 3 if Declan Rice actually wasn't fit all season, because we don't really have adequate cover for him. With Gabriel, I think, you know, we still have players who can step in every now and then for him. I'm not saying Gabriel's not important, obviously, but, you know, I think I value Rice more in this team than Gabriel, if that makes sense.
I think availability of the backup, Hincapié, Mosquera, they can turn up for Gabriel.
Yeah, exactly.
Rice is out. You basically have no one.
You could argue Miles Lewis Skelly's attributes would match Declan Rice.
I mean, sorry to interrupt. You can say that, but I'm not discrediting Declan Rice. Obviously, he is one of the best in his position. But you say that, we did batter. I think batter is the right term to use. Aston Villa without him, with Mikel Merino. So I think maybe it's a little bit disrespectful to Mikel Merino. I'm just gonna put it out there.
I mean,
fair enough. But then again, Tom, if you look at the impact that Rice has really made compared to Merino, if we've had the same amount of games, I don't think it's
for sure. But I just think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we battered Villa, fair enough. But I'm talking about, like, over the course of the season, would we be in, you know, this situation without Declan Rice?
You think we'll be?
So. Perhaps still in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, but, you know, in the Premier League, I don't think we would be top if it wasn't for Declan Rice. We can talk about the set pieces and, you know, the importance of Gabriel, but who takes the set pieces? Declan Rice. So I don't think Gabriel actually scores as many set pieces if Declan Rice isn't there, for instance. But I'm not saying, like, listen, both of them are as important as each other for me. But I would just value, as I said, Declan Rice over Gabriel in this Arsenal team. You know, shout out Raya as well, because I think without him, our build-up play is nowhere near the same, I would say, because, you know, he can, again, have a couple of bozo moments where, you know, he's passing out from the back. And despite him flapping on a couple of occasions, which isn't like him, usually my problem with Raya this whole time has been him getting far too comfortable on the ball every time he's distributing the ball. But I think this season his problem's been actually claiming from crosses, which, as I said, isn't like him. That's usually his main strength.
Yeah, he's bread and butter.
But he's had a couple of blunders this season where he's coming out to claim the ball when he probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So I think, again, he needs to communicate better with his centre halves. But he's saved us numerous times. Whether that be an important save towards the end, or I can't thank him enough for as I said, the amount of points he has saved.
Yeah.
Saved us. Timber's. I think Timber, for me at the start of the season, was really important. I think from January onwards he has tailed off a little bit because of the amount of games he's played.
Fair enough.
So I think
he has really been fatigued, and I think White's injury problems have also not helped him as well.
Yeah, we are forgetting that the guy has had surgery, right? He had surgery at the end of last season, played an extraordinary amount of games, considering he had an ACL injury the season before the last. So it's not normal for me seeing Timber play every single game after, suffering with an ACL injury. Like, it's not easy to come back from. And he's been absolutely brilliant still this season. I'm not taking that away from him, but I just think this is where the manager needs to come in here and actually trust his squad a little bit more.
Because I was thinking about the game against Wolves. This was a team that was 20th in the table. You had Brentford a couple of days after or a couple of days before. Yeah. The opportunity to actually tweak the squad, bring in the likes of White, bring in Norgard. But you see, basically had the same squad that played over the weekend and played midweek as well, and we saw how they got exhausted.
I do think Zubimendi deserves a shout as well, because although I have had my critics over Zubimendi this season, there's no doubt that he's made Declan Rice the player he is this season.
Yeah, compared to Partey, I agree.
Yeah, but I don't see him as like an upgrade to Thomas Partey, or I mean, is it harsh to say that he's not really an upgrade on that? I think it's probably an upgrade on.
I think he's an upgrade in my opinion, though. I think he's an upgrade. I believe he's an upgrade.
I think Partey
was very slow. He didn't take the tempo as much as we liked. Yes, he had that whole leg spin thing about him being a midfield general. But Mendy is very fluid. And one key thing that Mendy and Rice, they interchange. Sometimes Rice drops. But Partey cannot do that. Partey was always the 6.
Yeah, I don't see him as a 6 personally. I've been saying this for ages. I think he is more of a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah,
because he has scored. I just think, for me, I mentioned this before, he's like the Ramsdale of midfielders. He has that bozo in him. Great, right, good player, right? But at the same time, I don't see him as like that upgrade on Thomas Partey. I don't even see him as an upgrade on Torreira even, and you may disagree, but I think Torreira offered much more defensively than Zubimendi. I don't know what you guys make of that, but I think
but his passing was terrible though.
No, but Torreira wasn't playing as a 6.
Yeah, he was playing alongside.
It was only for the first 5 months he was playing as a 6, right? Then Emery decided to push him to a more advanced role.
Yeah.
And the guy just burns out after that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he's not that sort of guy to play as a 10. And then obviously, because he missed his family, etc., etc. But as I said on Zubimendi, I think, good player, very good player. I don't know if I see him as a starter next season, especially if we're linked with
Tonali. Yeah.
So, but in terms of the attackers, like you got Eze, who hasn't really had a consistent run of games. Like every time he plays well, I just think he's dropped the following game. Like 2 assists against Wigan, he's dropped against Wolves. He played against Tottenham. Fair enough, he played against Chelsea and Brighton. I just feel like his best games, I've noticed this as well, his best games for Arsenal, most of them anyway, have come when Norgard has been behind him.
Yeah, but then you have to consider the quality of the opposition too. He has played the easier games for us most of
Yeah,
the
I get
time.
it, but Norgard's even played in the Champions League though.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
No, I agree. I agree with you on that,
yeah,
bro.
and then your Krez up front. I mean, obviously he's like Marmite to certain sections of the fan base. I think in terms of the stats, which don't look great on paper, but at the same time, no lies detected that we are much better going forward when he's in the team, and whenever I believe he comes off, we end up conceding. So
Yeah,
that's no
strange.
coincidence. I think we started getting the best out of him when Havertz was behind him. I also think if Havertz stayed fit, then I think we would have probably seen the best of Gyökeres. And I can't believe I'm saying this, by the way, because I'm one of Havertz's biggest critics, if not the biggest Havertz critic
Yeah,
on here.
yeah.
But
We know.
but I think I'm not gonna lie. Maybe signing a striker like Gyökeres, who is lethal in front of goal, could be the formula to get the best out of him. Because we know what Havertz can bring. He's got the link up. He's got the
The
hold up play as
height,
well.
yeah, the hold up play, yeah. It's
Maybe
really
that
good
was
with
what he
that.
needed. But now we've stopped doing that for some reason. I know Havertz has been injured, but against Leverkusen midweek, you had the opportunity to do that. You've had a couple of opportunities here to actually reinvent that partnership once again. But
Yeah, yeah. I think with Odegaard still injured, we'll probably do that, but I don't think Kai have been fully fit. In the Leverkusen game, I could understand playing him alongside Gyökeres, but Gyökeres was really, really struggling. So he left actually left the pitch, and that's why
I thought it
when
was our best attacker, to be honest. I don't think he was that bad.
yeah, but that's why when Kai came on, Gabriel Jesus came on. So Kai played behind Jesus. So that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that's something I've noticed as well. Jesus and Havertz, this combination has never worked over the years. So I
Yeah,
don't know why
just
we
like
keep.
Gyökeres and Martinelli and Madueke, that has not worked as well too. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. I think that's been the
Yeah.
problem. Just three road runners in the front three. Whenever Gyökeres is playing up front, it's often Madueke and Martinelli down the
Yeah,
flanks. And I'm like, why?
I agree.
So I think,
So
considering he scored 15 goals, yeah, like Gyökeres has been a massive part of that. And if we win the league, i.e., trophies this season, I think you could say
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah, of course, he has contributed. I agree with you.
yeah.
So Tom, let's talk about tactics. One of the interesting things about us this campaign is that our tactics are basically evolved. We always use the whole 4-3-3, or sometimes 4-2-3-1. But there was a comment, that someone made in the chat, okay, Organ, that Stan needs to tweak the team to get the best from Gyökeres and Eze. So if you're in Ateta's shoes now, Tom, what kind of tweaks are you going to make tactically?
Um, I think Eze should be playing every game for the rest of the season. To be honest,
In what position? Left or cam?
wherever you can fit him in. To be honest with you, I think he's a player of real quality, which I think can provide moments. So I think you just have to get him in the team. I don't really think it matters where, to be honest, because as much as he's good out wide, he's really good in the 10. As much as he's really good in the 10, he's good out wide. So I think he's got to play. You then look at Kai Havertz. I think he's got a huge role to play with Odegaard still out. Um, I really wouldn't be against seeing Havertz up front. Um, and I think, look, when we went up to Old Trafford and the season first started, and there was all this buzz about Gyökeres coming in and, we're going to win every game 5-6-0. Um, that obviously hasn't happened, and it was, a goal from a corner, a 1-0 win. And I remember being like, okay, we're in for another season of this. Um, and look, it's working. As the stream's called, Quadruple. You know, that there's the quadruple shouts being put out there. We're in very good. We're in a very good position in the majority of in all the competitions that we're in. So I think keep it how it is, to be honest with you, because it's clearly working. Whether people like it or not, it's boring football. Well, you're not forced to watch it. Um,
Yeah,
if Arsenal win anything, it will be the worst trophy wins ever. Well, okay, mate. That's
yeah. So big.
again,
Thanks for your comments. You have been noticed, man. Straight up.
yeah. So I think we just got to keep it as it is, to be honest with you, because it's working. We're 7 points clear. If we win against Everton, we're even further clear. Obviously,
Yeah.
City have a couple of games in hand, but I'm not
Yeah.
overly worried
Yeah.
about them.
The game in hand will be like Jimmy Lannister's hand.
Sorry, say that again.
Man City's game in hand is going to be like Jimmy Lannister from Game of Thrones. The one that you know. Yeah, that would be his game in hand. I agree with you. So, Henry, we have some threats to this campaign. I know in the course of this stream, we've spoken about them. What comes to my mind is fixture congestion, fatigue, injuries. But while we wait for Rory and Tom to share theirs, I'd like to hear from you first. What are our biggest threats to missing out on the court this season?
I think at various points of this stream, we've all pointed out one or two things. For example, the injuries.
Yeah,
For example, like I said earlier, rotation. And as Tom said, we're just a victim of ourselves.
yeah,
That implosion is something that I'm petrified about. But I think that the biggest threat to our, quadruple this season, or personally, I don't think it's possible, but the biggest threat to winning that quadruple this season is just how we approach the games. In the we can approach the games, with the same mindset that we had against Leverkusen, or against Brighton, trying to get a draw or trying to see out the game. I don't think it's gonna be feasible. I mean, if we personally, I don't mind if we do that and we win. I'm completely okay with it as long as we win. Because the moment we don't win, then it's a problem.
yeah,
So I feel like that's the biggest problem that we have. We need to, even if we want to see out games, but we need to get a second goal. Get that insurance. So that we are kind of certain that we are seeing out the game. So I think that apart from being out imploding, injuries can also be, in relation to the fixture congestion, I think injuries can be a big problem that I see also. But it depends on how Arteta, manages to rotate the squad. If he's able to effectively choose and pick the right moments to rotate Martinelli and Trossard, rotate Madueke and Saka, choose when to bring in. And personally, I don't want to see this combination of Havertz and Gyökeres. Yeah, all good. But I don't want to see Havertz in midfield. I don't know. Personally, I don't feel comfortable seeing him in midfield. I think his best position.
29.
I see him playing as a striker. I don't want to see him in midfield. It's never worked out for me personally. The games where we had a good chemistry with Gyökeres, I think it was in the Champions League, where we won big. I can't remember the game, it was 4 or 5-0, but I think the opponents the quality of the opposition that we faced in that period were not really great. So I wouldn't really be looking into that too much. I don't want to see Havertz in midfield. I think his best position is being up front, like he did, I think 2 years ago, where he had that good run of form from.
Don't you think? Sorry to cut in. Don't you think the reason why Havertz wasn't, I would say, playing well in midfield this whole time was because he was playing as the box-to-box midfielder?
Yeah. Because he came in for Xhaka, and I don't think he was like really in that position. It was too deep.
Yes,
for my
but
liking.
I don't.
But if he's like the main number 10, right, like playing off Gyökeres as he did when he played for Leverkusen,
Yeah,
because we've seen when he's played as the 10 alongside an out-and-out striker,
he cooks, man.
and you see the best of him. in that position.
So what
Because
would
in
you
the
say?
number 9, he misses a boatload of opportunities. Like,
What
let's
would
just
you
have it
say
right.
is his biggest strength? Playing as a 10, because he's not particularly a good passer of the ball. It's not. His
I
control is
disagree.
not even. It's not technically that good. It's not. It's not. I don't think he's that creative. So I really don't see how he plays as a cam consistently. In the same way that Odegaard did maybe a season ago, or a season and a half ago. I don't really see his best quality as a cam. But I mean, if you could you please tell me what you see in him as a cam that makes
Yeah,
it
I mean,
different?
I disagree. I think his passing's actually quite underrated. I can't believe you got me defending Havertz, by the way. But I think
By the
his
way,
passing's quite
I'm a
underrated.
bigger critic of Havertz than you. I don't like him.
You're not alone, bro. To be fair, I've been heavily critical on him over the last year, I would say. But I think one of his best assets is I would say his passing's pretty decent, especially like the passes he's played to Gyökeres here and there. Like I think he's playing with an actual runner in behind, and when he does play with runners, he can actually pluck out them passes. I think his passing's quite underrated. To be fair.
All right, fair enough. Tom, our biggest stress this season?
As I've said many a times this stream, playing against ourselves, it just does come back to me. Like, it's happened so many times in the past. It's PTSD, and
Yeah.
also the noise in the media. Um, all of
Yes,
this, all of this stuff.
regarding that noise in the media, do you really think we are affected by it? I don't think so. I think we're still just doing what we do, irrespective of what they say.
I don't think the players are directly affected by it, but I think the more the fans read it and go to games, it's going to probably start affecting the atmosphere at games and increasing the tension and stuff like that. So, look, for me, there's also other contributing factors. Injuries could play a part. You don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season. You don't know how long Odegaard's going to be out for. Worst case scenario, we could pick up another injury crisis defensively or going forward. So look, obviously we hope that doesn't happen, but you just can't write these stuff out.
Yeah.
But look, I think we're in a very strong position to win trophies this season, and to answer the question of how many, we'll see at the end of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just thinking about the whole Fabian Hostler mess. Prior to the game against Arsenal, you saw how he went on the media and was just spewing all sorts of crap. Going to the game, we cooked him, and he's crying out in the media as well. But we've gotten that 3 point. That was all that
Have you seen
mattered.
his comments today,
Who
by the
cares?
way?
Oh, a new one. What did he say again?
Oh, basically, I don't know whether he's like stirring the pot or whatever, but he's basically come out and started praising Arsenal suddenly. He'll be like, "Oh well, if Arsenal
Come
win the
on.
league, I'll be the first one to congratulate them, etc."
Come on, it's too late. It's too late for that, man. It's too late.
You should set off, man. No need for all that.
The guy's just backtracking, I reckon.
It's crazy. Okay, so Rory, let's hear from you. Our biggest strengths.
The Lego man. For me, anyway. I think, for me, I've always said the only thing hindering Arsenal's success is the manager. I think this season we've seen on plenty of occasions where he's not set up Arsenal to win.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest frustration. I look at Forest away from home
Liverpool
and how
away.
timid we were. I feel like his in-game management at times is really poor. Fair enough. Against Leverkusen, right? I look at that game, and there's parts of his game that he does really well. Like, for instance, right? I wasn't expecting him to bring off Saka in that game.
Oh, yeah. I was impressed with that. Saka was thinking of the place in our
Yeah, he was thinking up the place. Brought on Noni, changed the game basically. Brought on Havertz, he took the penalty. So fair play. But then as the game played out, I'm looking at it going, right, we're 1-0 down, and you've still got 2 sixes on the pitch. Why have you still got Zubimendi and Declan Rice on the pitch when you need a goal? And this is what frustrates me. He makes these like-for-like changes every now and then. Like Madueke for Saka if Saka's having a stinker. Trossard for Martinelli, that's been a reoccurring sub for the last 3 years. We see it every game, it feels like. Now Gyökeres is getting hooked every game, it feels like, and we're conceding goals. Eze is coming off for Odegaard whenever he's fit. I think it was Marino prior his injury. So it's just every time like these like-for-like changes. Have you ever tried 2 up front apart from, when it's Gabriel Jesus or, Kai Havertz, but that's the only time he's tried 2 up front.
Yeah.
Which hasn't worked, but what did work with Havertz and Gyökeres, you've not tried it again since that Sunderland game. So it's, for me, really frustrating that, especially like away at Liverpool, when that game was there for the taking, against Man City, even at home, you go for 3 holding
midfielders. Yeah, that would be
I know you can talk about Marino being better as a striker than in midfield, which fair enough. But when Marino's playing in midfield, he does play like a holding midfielder. Yeah. And we saw when he played in the holding midfield role against, I think it was Portsmouth.
Yeah.
He had a fairly good game.
It was awesome in that game, actually.
So that was the frustrating thing for me, like the way Liverpool have played this season. The way City even set out, like they parked 10, 11 players behind the ball. They took off Haaland in the second half, likewise.
Yeah, they were scared, actually, man.
Yeah, we scammed the draw in that one, despite, setting up so negatively. And Man City decided, you know what, second half, we're 1-0 up. We're gonna sit 10 men behind the ball. And despite us setting up negatively, we still got hit on the counter-attack, which is mental to me anyway. But there's games this season where I'm looking at it going, just be a little bit more expansive. Why have you still got 2 DMs on the pitch? Why do you not, apart from the West Ham game at home, where he actually set out with Eze and Odegaard as the 2 attacking midfielders, and the FA Cup, he's had the odd experiments here and there against Portsmouth and Mansfield, where he went full kamikaze, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
When the Premier League games is where I want us to be a little bit more gung-ho. I'm not saying, do what we've done against Mansfield and play Havertz at DM, and no, that's far too risky. But I'm talking about, if you're starting a double pivot, which I don't have a problem with, at least, mid-game, take a defender off. Take one of your DMs off. Whether that be Rice or Zubimendi, I don't care. And if you don't win the game, then fair enough. At least you've shown some intent.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's been times where we've wanted to not lose the game. We have this inability to just go for it. And I think there's a massive question mark on why we are arguably the worst counter-attacking team in the league. Because, my God, there's been times this season where we just don't have a Scooby-Doo of what we are doing in the final third whenever we're about to hit a team on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
We bought a striker for £60 million and still, we're suffering with the same issues. Eze, likewise. It's I just don't get it. Is it the players? Is it, the manager? I think the players obviously need to take some accountability as well. Obviously, it's whether or not the forward players will turn up as well. Because if they don't turn up, then obviously don't win games of football, do you?
Yeah, sure.
So if you set it negatively, then it means you're technically not winning games of football. And that's what's going to cost us if we don't play a little bit more expansive. I'm not saying play tiki-taka, but just come out to shell a little bit.
Just show more risk. Because it's always funny how Raya is the one that takes the most risks at the back. While our guys are very safe. That kind of pisses me off a lot, man.
And when we're 1-0 up as well, we have
just lose our heads, man.
Yeah, we just sit back. It's Yeah, we've used all of our shot battery, so let's basically sit back and play for a 1-0, which we've seen like on this modern day in the Premier League. You can't do that. Like, we've done it against Man United. We started the game really well, scored, or should say they scored, to be precise. We go 1-0 up, momentum's in our favour, then we do, what we did, and
that
gave
was
them a goal.
pathetic, man.
And then, just like that, we lost our heads.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Okay, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the. I think, to be fair to Mikel Arteta, there's been a couple of games where he has taken out Zubimendi and has played with Rice as the pivot, especially when we're kind of drawing or losing games. But for the Champions League, I think, in a two-legged tie, I think it's fair enough to not go guns out blazing, especially if you're 1-0 down. You still have the second leg at home. You can still come back,
because you remember Chelsea wanted to go for the broke against PSG, and they got whooped.
It turned out.
Yeah, I get it, but
over the couple of seasons,
I agree.
I get it, but like, you're talking PSG, and we're playing Leverkusen, who, like, they've got a 1-0 lead basically, so they're obviously going to try and hold out. So surely at least, right, you go for, like, even if you want to bring on a DM, right, Norgard's right there, because you can tell Zubimendi's gassing out.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen what Norgard can do in the final third as well.
Yeah, he has a good eye for passing behind, actually.
Yeah, I agree. So if you're a national fan right now, you have every reason to be excited. The team is competing. We're progressing, and for the first time in a very long time, we're looking at we're going to compete on all 4 fronts. So I'm going to end this stream with a question to my panelists, starting with Tom. How many trophies are we going to win this season, and what are those trophies?
Tough question. I think we'll get the Premier League. I'm not, as I said, I'm just not bothered, as Luke Littler would say. I think we'll get the Premier League. League Cup, I think we're in a very strong position for it. I think the next week, the next 7 days is going to show a lot. Everton at home, and Bayer Leverkusen at home. Very big games for our season, and also in the build-up and in the lead-up to the League Cup final. Okay. Let's be positive. We're going to win the League Cup, so that's 2. I just don't know if this team has it in them to go and win the Champions League on top of that. So I'm going to rule that one out.
Okay, FA?
And then that leaves the FA Cup, who I think if we get to Wembley, if we make the semi-finals, we'll probably win it. So
a treble?
So a domestic treble, there you go.
Okay. Henry?
Yeah, realistically, I think we get the Premier League.
Okay.
And Carabao Cup. I don't think we win the FA Cup. And the Champions League is probably a stretch too far, in my opinion. Okay. I think maybe we end up with 2 trophies.
That's a double. Rory?
Yeah, so I think we'll get the Premier League over the line. Don't think it'll be comfortable by any stretch. I think we'll probably win it on the last day or something, or maybe at home to Burnley.
No, I don't need that for my hat, bro. No.
Oh my Lord.
No, I don't need that for my hat.
The pressure, I'm telling you. I think we'll win the League Cup, as I said earlier. I think we'll beat Man City, so that's 2 trophies. I don't see us winning the Champions League. I could be wrong, because we've already beaten Bayern Munich in the one-off game. Don't know if I'll be confident on beating Bayern Munich over 2 legs, obviously, but in the one-off Game against Bayern Munich, maybe, like we
Gonna
did
be
in
in
the
the
league
final.
phase, or PSG, maybe. But I still don't think we'll win it. I've got a feeling we may get knocked out by Barcelona, although I think we have the capability of beating them. But again, we still have to make it past Leverkusen first. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
FA?
then, yeah, the FA Cup's an interesting one because the look of the draw, you'd think, yeah, surely Arsenal will end up going all the way to the final this year, but I think we'll probably reach semi-finals and we'll get knocked out by. I think we'll face Man City at some point again in the semi-finals. I really do.
I
And we'll
hate
probably
Man
get knocked out.
I
Yeah.
hate this.
Okay. So a couple of folks in the chat say a minimum of 2 trophies. All right. So that brings us to the end of today's stream. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of this. Tom, what's going on with the 14th canon?
On the 14th canon, you can expect a video after the Everton game, a little review after that one. I've got a couple of other videos in mind that I want to do. It's just been a very busy week, so I haven't been able to get content out. And next week's going to be quite busy as well because it's full of exams, which is great. But when I've got time, I'll obviously hop on, make content, and yeah, catch me on YouTube and on Instagram, 14th Canon. And Anthony, thank you very much for having me on. I've enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, guys. So please follow 14th canon, subscribe to his content. He guy does awesome stuff. I've put his channel on the description as well, so go check it out. Rory, what's going on with Red Audi? I know Monday night.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, so apologies. Last week Monday I couldn't make it. I was booked up. Yeah, so.
Yeah, you weren't getting away with it tonight, I'm telling you. you missed out on some absolute cinema last
Wait, so
Monday.
there was one that Seb and Dom were talking about. I know you also clipped it. I went to watch the stream afterwards and I was just going crazy. Was it the one about signing? No, for the life of me, not just coming to my head. Is it one about signing a player? There was one that they both were arguing about that.
It was managers, I think, enforcing players to win.
Yeah, international break for them to go home and I think, oh my god, because I know Don was talking about how Arsenal was speaking for Gabriel Jesus and a couple of folks. And Seb was just on full 7 with oh my god.
Yeah, Dom definitely came up with the best quote of 2026, that's for sure. Which I'll probably not say, just in case you are monetized, and I don't want you to lose your monetization. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. Just tune in yourself and you'll hear it.
Yeah. But you guys need to check out Red Arrow, the Arsenal rollout. It's awesome. Like the debates are crazy. Tom is one of the panelists in that stream. I'm also one of the panelists in the stream. And
I do apologise, Tom, for last Monday, by the way. My intention wasn't to leave you out. It's just, StreamYard, and there was like a certain amount of guests that I could invite.
So he had that issue too?
No, I had the issue because I didn't want to take the risk on Talk Studio because one week it feels like it's working fine, and then the following week it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I tried StreamYard this time, and obviously it worked.
No, but why does StreamYard have the restriction of just 6 folks? Is it like a?
Because I don't have the upgrade, and it's like 400.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
There's not a chance I'm paying for that. And that's probably why you're on Restream, because the prices on StreamYard nowadays are just ridiculous.
Crazy. No, but then again, having six panelists is quite enough, in all honesty. Although there's many more that I have to cope with.
But we should be back on Talk Studio on Monday, by the way. It's just I've not paid for the upgrades yet, and I couldn't be asked to do it on Monday as well. It was a bit too late. So
all right, guys. So you guys should follow Red RD, awesome channel as well. He has dope content. Yeah. And one thing I love about him is
Instagram as well. You can I forgot to mention as well on Instagram. All the clips will be going down. So you can find me on TikTok. So
awesome. So Henry, are you into the YouTube space yet?
Well, I've just started my page, I think a couple of months ago.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, you can. I think I was yesterday. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday? I was commenting from my YouTube channel. So it's
Oh,
called
okay,
DHS
DHS
Unplugged.
Unplugged. Oh,
Yeah,
nice,
well,
nice, 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 nice.
Instagram and on YouTube also.
Okay, so I'm going to get that and put it in the description as well. All right, guys, this has
That
been
would be
fun.
nice.
But before we leave, let's just quickly talk about Everton. That's one game that we have to win. Like, there's no way we're going to drop points because I'll just go mad, you know. So I won't take too much of our time. Just want to get your predictions. Tom, your predictions?
My head says 0-0. My heart says 1-0.
One.
Don't do that.
Ah,
No, yeah, if you want,
can we cut off your head and just use only your hat?
in all honesty, I see this game as a slip up in the title
But
race.
last season it was 0-0, right? Where we missed like so many crazy chances and stuff.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
Sean
this.
Dyche in charge as well.
Yeah. It's Everton. Everton have got a very good away record.
Yeah.
I see this as a potential slip up from now until the end of the season with our fixtures in the run-in. This is one of the games that I worry about, to be honest with you. Don't like Everton, to be honest. Can't really stand them.
You
And
can't respect David Moyes though, to be fair.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've
don't
got
work for
respect for
them.
David Moyes, but I just don't have respect for that club.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I said, my head says 0-0, but my heart says 1-0 Gabriel from a corner.
Ooh, bullet header. You just want to talk
Surely
about
because
that.
Jack Grealish plays for them, you respect them, surely.
No, he's a snake.
Oh, God.
Okay, Henry, your prediction?
Before I give my prediction, I just want to ask a question. Would you guys be okay with Mikel Arteta rotating his squad for this game, knowing fully well that we have the Champions League midweek, or do we go out?
Just maybe
full
a
strength?
few tweaks. I can do White for Timber, you know.
Yeah, Norgard for Zuberman.
I can do Morgan for Zubimendi and leave it at that.
Oh,
Then
Morgan's
I can do Calafiori for Hincapié.
No, I think if you take Hincapié out, I'll probably put Lewis Skelly in over Calafiori, to be
Oh
honest.
no!
But Luis Kelly hasn't
I
been
gotta
in good
have-
form, man. He hasn't
Yeah,
been
but
in good
the reason
form.
why he's not been in good form is because he's not played. He's not been given an opportunity. It's not his fault.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I agree with
I mean,
you.
he's been playing well in the Champions League as of late, so he should be given an opportunity,
Yeah.
especially in midfield as well. Like if you don't want to use Norgard, Skelly's literally right there,
Yeah.
and I really do hope we don't let him go as well because that'll be a massive mistake. Whether that
I
be on
agree.
loan or even if we sell him, like that can't be happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because like we sent Ethan one area on loan. He's not really cooking anymore in Marseille, and now a man down here. Imagine this Mansfield game. If we had someone like one area, we would have had a better shape than the crap that our manager put out there.
Yeah, apart from Saliba, right? I don't think we have had like a successful loan, right? Like whenever
Yeah.
we've sent players out on loan, I don't think we've had necessarily.
Yeah,
success.
because Lokonga was crap. Who
To be
else?
fair, I think you
Yeah,
could argue
Dozy.
Balogun because we got a decent fee for him.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe,
yeah. Balogun was decent. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the one that he went to France.
maybe,
yeah.
maybe Reece Nelson back in 2018 at
Who?
Hoffenheim.
The Hoffenheim one.
Yeah, when he was.
But
No, because like, a lot of us were saying like, "Yo, Reece Nelson should get a lot of minutes the following season."
I know Smith Rowe struggled in Leipzig, struggled in Huddersfield Town.
No, I'm not talking about Smith Rowe. No, I'm talking about Nelson.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Smith Rowe.
Yeah. Nketiah was crap in Leeds.
Oh, yeah, be careful.
Okay, so Henry, your prediction?
Yeah, I think a 2-0 win.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Rory?
You know what's funny? I was supposed to go to this game, but I've been informed midstream that there was an issue with the flipping system at Arsenal, so couldn't get tickets.
Ooh.
I'm
So-
actually fuming. Although, to be fair, now that I'm not going, we probably win. Because both times I've been to the Emirates, we've lost and drawn, basically.
Okay,
So-
Yes.
Okay, Rory, I
Oh,
have a
yeah,
proposal.
sure.
Can you stay at home till the end of the season?
Just stay home.
Yeah,
Just stay
you
at
know
home.
what? I might not turn up to the Emirates again this season. You know.
And guess what? Don't turn up to Wembley as well for the Carabao Cup final.
What am I catching strays for suddenly? What's going on?
Okay, so your prediction, bro.
Oh my days. Well, now that I'm not going, I'll probably go 2-1
4-0.
Arsenal. I heard something that have Everton lost so far this year? I don't think they have.
No, yeah, they did to Bournemouth at
Not
home.
Away
away,
from home.
not away from home.
Away, let me check. I don't think so. Hold on.
I don't
Away
think
from
you've lost
home, they
away.
haven't
I think
lost
you
for a
lost at
while.
home, but I don't think you've lost away. They're on a pretty decent away form.
Yeah, okay. At least 1-1, Sunderland 1-1. Yeah. No, they've not lost away from home this year. You're correct, bro.
To be fair, I would have been going to the game with my mum, so yeah, that would have been.
So their last away loss was Chelsea in December. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy, man.
It's not going to be an easy game. Squeaky ball time again.
No. We have to turn up, man. All right, guys, this is where I'll pull the curtain. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for being part of today's stream. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the future. Of course, I'll be on your channel as well. You can always hit me up. I'll make time for it. So to everyone on the chat, thanks so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. To DHS Unplugged, my boy Henry. To 14th Canon, my G Tonga Tom. And of course, Arsenal Red Rory. Take care, guys.